Good morning. It is 29 minutes now before the hour of 9 a.m. and time for us to have a great discussion with Dr. Leslie Pollard, who's on with us for the special edition of Inside Oakwood. Good morning, Dr. Pollard.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Donna. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to all of our guests. We're so excited to have you here this morning as we talk about the graduate programs of Oakwood University. You know, Donna, sometimes people think of Oakwood only as a four-year college, but we're actually a university and we have a tremendous K through 18 program. Pre-K, actually. My friends in the child development lab say you need to begin saying pre-K, a pre-K program that covers the entire educational span. And we've got guests today who are experiencing that 16 through 18 part of what we actually do, 17 and 18, those years. So we're excited about it and we're happy to talk about it this morning.
Right. So listen, Dr. Paul, let's get right into it because we have a lot of guests here today and we want to make sure everybody can share. So when did actually the university begin its graduate programs? Because I do remember when it was just undergraduate and everybody was like, well, when are we going to get some masters or some doctorate programs or whatever? So when did that start? When did we get that?
Well, that's an excellent question, Donna, and we've got just the right people here to answer those questions. So we've got Dr. John Anderson this morning, who is our Associate Provost, and of course, our Dean of the School of Business, and of course, our Director for our Director of Graduate Education. So all of the graduate education under his purview. And we've got Dr. Joyce Johnson, who is a tremendous educator, and she is our Director of Online Learning. So we're happy to see Dr. Johnson here this morning. And then, of course, we've got Ms. Kenesha Bennett, who is our Graduate Enrollment Specialist. For those who are looking for information, should feel free to enjoy that. And then we've got two of our students in the graduate program. We've got Mrs. Paula Johnson, who is in our MBA program. And then we've got Ms. Kayla Smith, who is studying in our Masters of Public Health program. So we'll get a whole rounded approach. So back to your question. Your question is, so how did and why did we start, Dr. Anderson, the graduate program and especially the MAPS program?
Right. Thank you, Dr. Pollard. Back in 2000, the university placed on its strategic plan the desire or the objective of expanding its curricular offerings and providing opportunities for graduate education. So we started a process that was formally kicked off in about 2005 of not only identifying that first graduate program, but also going through the different steps in developing the proposals that had to be submitted to the different entities that are involved in approving curriculum offerings. And so that process, again, about a 2-year process, we looked at the mission of the university. We looked at the strengths of the university, and we looked at the needs of the marketplace and our constituents that we serve. And so in going through that process, there was unanimous agreement that one of the defining characteristics of Oakwood University was the contribution that it has made and continues to make in the area of theological education. Mm-hmm. And so there was unanimous consent amongst the faculty, the senior administration, and the board of trustees at that time that our first historical graduate program should be in the area of theological education. And so we developed the Master of Arts in Pastoral Studies. We developed that program. It went through the different approval processes, and that program rolled out in 2007.
Wow. So it's been a little while now.
Yes, it's been a little while. It's been a little while. And we've had hundreds of graduates in that particular program over the years. And as you know, that program rolled out in 2007. And right after that, Dr. Pollard, in January of 2008 is when the university changed its name.
All right. Now that was, as you said, though, that was the Master's of Arts in Pastoral Studies. That was the first program.
Yes,
So
yes.
I got a question. I know a lot of people might be asking, how did that compete with Andrews University, or did it? Did it put you in competition with Andrews?
That's a very good question, because there was a lot of discussion at that time about that very, very, very fact, and about whether or not there was competition, or whether or not specifically how that program relates to the Masters of Divinity, the MDiv. And so, and this went all the way up to a body, a committee at the General Conference level that oversees theological education.
Right.
And I remember being at that particular meeting, and that question was asked, specifically whether or not that degree would compete with the MDiv degree that's offered at the seminary. And I remember a question being asked at that time. It says that, well, if there is concern about this degree competing with the MDiv, then Andrews University is competing with itself, because they have a similar degree. And so the Master of Arts in Pastoral Studies does not compete with the MDiv. And we find that not only Oakwood has this type of degree, but several of our other sister universities also has this same degree. So therefore, we're not competing, we're servicing.
Right. Right, man.
I love that answer. Isn't that beautiful?
That was great. Just a historical background.
Like a Black man who can think for himself. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful.
Wonderful,
Beautiful.
wonderful, wonderful. So from that time, though, we have other programs that have been birthed out. Tell us about those. Who would like to answer? Who do we want to answer that? We want to go back to Dr. Anderson?
Yes, I could answer that question, and then I would ask Dr. Joyce Johnson to speak to the delivery modalities that we are using for those graduate programs, and how we have built in protocols to support student success. But we've expanded in our graduate offerings. We've added an additional offering in theological studies, and that is the Master's in not pastoral studies, but urban ministries. The Master's in urban ministries, which looks specifically at the ministry in the urban cities. And that's a very, very exciting program. People are very interested in that program, and we're seeing growth there. It's only been on the books for a year now, as well as the MBA with a concentration in leadership. We started that program at the same time that we started urban ministries. And then we also have the MPH in nutrition and wellness, all again started at the same time. So we started those programs a year ago, and we're looking forward in the future expanding into different areas. But now, if Dr. Johnson will tell us a little bit about the modality that we're using for these graduate programs, and how we have built in different components for student success.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, and thank you, Dr. Pollard, and all of the WJOU team here. Two of our graduate programs are fully online, and that would be the MBA program as well as the Masters of Public Health program. And what that means is that basically the course is taught when students don't have to be present, and the instructor does not have to be present at the same time either. Students have the opportunity to access anytime and from any location through the use of the internet. So those two programs are fully online, and I'll tell you in just a few minutes about some of the resources that we provide for some of our fully online programs. With the Masters of Arts in Pastoral Studies, as well as our urban ministry programs, those are hybrid programs. And that means that we have a combination of what we call synchronous and asynchronous learning type activities. And there are elements of the course where the teachers and students will need to be present, at the same time. And then there are other parts of the course that are fully online. And for all of these courses, we offer an array of student support resources. And actually, just going back to the design process, we consider student success right from the very start of the program when we're designing our courses. We have a very methodical, comprehensive approach to course design that includes several checkpoints. It heavily engages our faculty who serve in the roles of course designers in some cases, and also as subject matter experts. Additionally, we invite our graduate students, actually they're required to participate in a graduate level orientation course before they even begin their first graduate class. And the orientation course exposes them to more of the resources that we have available. It orients them to online learning, helps them determine the difference between traditional and online learning. And then once they're enrolled, they have access to a very robust student resources portal that is located at our Oakwood University online website. And this portal is loaded with lots of resources that would help our students along the way and to ensure their success, like an online writing center, access to the library, access to essential services within Oakwood. They can remotely access their advisor and many, many other resources.
You know, Donna, one of the things that's so inspiring about the work that's being done in our online environment is how many resources are available to students. I have the pleasure of teaching in two programs, both of these, actually religion and business. And in the MBA program, I've had the fun of interacting with many of our students, one of whom is online this morning, is with us in the conversation, Miss Paula Johnson. And her story is just so amazing, the way she came back to school after being out for so many years and then graduated at the same time her son did. But she didn't stop there, she went on. And this is the question I have for both Paula and for Kayla. Why go on? You know, you could easily say, well, I'm just going to stop. I've earned a bachelor's degree. The majority of America doesn't even have that degree. But why would I go on to do graduate education? And then why would I do it at Oakwood University of all places, right? Because there are lots of options out there. So why did I go on in the first place? And then what is it about Oakwood's graduate education that blesses and speaks to me personally? Maybe we could start with Mrs. Johnson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The reason that I pursued going into the master's program was it was kind of a thought in the back of my mind while I was working toward my BS degree. Mm-hmm. And my husband said to me one day, even before I graduated, he said, you know what, you're going to go on and get your master's. I said, yeah, right. Yeah, right. And it was during graduation weekend when I was approached by Dr. Johnson and by Dr. Brown about this new program that was being started. And it intrigued me because it was about leadership. And that's what I'm about. I'm about organization and leadership. And so that really appealed to me. Why at Oakwood? Why not at Oakwood? This is my school. This is a school that my husband and I have gone to, our children have gone through. So we're proud of the heritage and the positive things that have happened with and for Oakwood and through its multiple students around the world. And so why not Oakwood? Of course, Oakwood.
Now, okay, so Donna, Ms. Johnson's being modest, and modesty is a good thing. We believe that. That's a wonderful thing. But Ms. Johnson has a unique story that starts with our LEAP program for those who are thinking about completing their degrees. Could you say a little bit about, Paula, just a little bit before we turn to Kayla, just a little bit about how when you went to Oakwood, there was a hiatus between the time you started Oakwood and the time you finished, and how LEAP stepped in right there to help you, because this is a tremendous resource for our community as well. So Paula, could you say, I appreciate your modesty, but could you say a little bit about how God blessed you in so many ways through the LEAP program too, and your decision to come back to school after X number of years.
Well, I give all glory to God. This is truly a testimony of the goodness of the Lord. My husband and I were attending Oakwood. He was a year ahead of me. We got married. I wasn't able to get back into school. So 1972 was my end of my really formal education with Oakwood. And then I was wanting to pursue my undergraduate degree for years and years and years. And then I came into contact with, I heard about LEAP for years. I've heard about LEAP. But then I met Ellen Goodrich. And she said, you know what, if you get into the LEAP program, she said, we'll see that you get through. Well, that was great encouragement for me. And one of the things I'd like to see advertised more when there are Oakwood promotions is the LEAP program. It was a blessing for me knowing that I could do what I needed to do to graduate, but yet I didn't have to be in the classroom at the same time. My life was going on. And it was a great blessing for me. And I will tell you this, Dr. Pollard, and it's no testimony to me, but since I graduated, many people have come up to me and said, if you can do it, I tell people, if I can do it, you can do it. And so as a result, I know at least 2 people who have gotten into the LEAP program because they have found that it's doable and it's a blessing. And the work is not easy. It's hard. I mean, this is work. We're talking about LEAP. We're talking about the master's program. It's all work, but all praise to God that he got me through.
And what a wonderful testimony that is. And
so you were out of school when you said 72. You were out of school from 72 to what time?
To 2016.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow.
And came back and finished what you started. And in between, we're talking about being active in ministry, because I know Paula and her husband really well. Active in ministry, a family, children, grandchildren, all of the life cycle happens. And she finished her degree. And we praise God for you, Paula. Congratulations. And then Kayla, right? Kayla is in the MPH program. Tell us your story, Kayla.
I'm also a graduate of Oakwood University. I received my bachelor's in 2011. Why did I go on? It just seemed like the right time. Honestly, thank God for good men, I guess, in our lives. My husband also encouraged me to pursue my master's in public health. He reached out to Ms. Bennett, and she in turn called me to tell me about the program that you guys were starting. And I think she didn't know about it, but I actually wanted to pursue a public health degree back in 2011 after I graduated Oakwood, but things didn't work out. So I just felt like it was almost like divine intervention, that it was just the right time in my life to go back and to, further my education. And why Oakwood? I trust Oakwood. I received my bachelor's from Oakwood. You see all these online universities and you're like, some of them, you're like, I don't know, I've never even heard of this place, but Oakwood, I received my bachelor's from there. I know their accreditation is sound. So I'm like, why not? Because I trust Oakwood.
I wanted to ask that question as well, Kayla, because there are a lot of choices out there and you still chose Oakwood University. So is there any more behind that? I mean, like Johns Hopkins is like way up there, with public health. And I know some of our students do go there, but, you came back to Oakwood. And I think there's more you probably could say about just trusting Oakwood,
I don't know. It's just, that experience you get with, because even like when I left here, I moved to Houston, and that connection that you have with Huntsville and Oakwood it's uncanny, that feeling of just the worship experience. I was looking for that. I wanted that in my life again. I felt like that was missing after leaving. And so we wanted to be here.
Wow. Yeah, I'm telling you, Dr. Pollard, that spiritual connection that Oakwood provides that experience. It's so valuable. And I think, our listeners just, need to understand that that is always part of one of the reasons why students return or even choose Oakwood, because it's more than just academics. It's building your relationship with the Lord too. And it has such a strong way of doing that. So I want to know, during this pandemic, we know that most of the programs are either online or they're hybrid programs. So there wasn't really any hiccups. Could you say, I don't know, Dr. Johnson or Dr. Anderson, how was that transition through the pandemic, or was there any?
Well, with the graduate programs, as Dr. Johnson said earlier, they were already online. 2 of the programs were already online, and then the other 2 programs had a online component in that they were hybrid courses already. So the coronavirus did not impact those programs significantly, because they were already using that particular modality. As a matter of fact, we shared some of that expertise with our undergraduate programs as they were transitioning to a hybrid format. But I'd like for Ms. Bennett, if she would just quickly just share with us how you can enroll in our graduate programs, where to go to get information. Ms. Bennett.
Good morning, everyone. So you can go to our graduate website at graduate.oakwood.edu for more information about the program. From that webpage, you can also apply to the program. And if anyone has any questions about anything related to the graduate programs, they can contact me at 256-726-8091. And that's my favorite part of my job, is being able to explain what the programs have to offer and why Oakwood is a great option for your next step in mastering your next step.
Wow. Yeah. So are there any scholarships available? Can you speak to
There are scholarships available. There's scholarships for people who are religious, corporate, or government partners. There are scholarships for students who are alumni, as well as non-alumni scholarships. And you can contact me to find out more information about that as well.
And okay, we got to talk about tuition as well. How is that? Are we making that? The only thing I think of is user friendly, not user friendly, but how are we making that easy and comfortable for students in these programs that want to enroll in the graduate programs?
Well, I believe our tuition would be perceived as being competitive, as being very, very competitive. And of course, our programs, the students, they have the availability of financial aid. And so we work with our students. We intentionally market our programs and our tuition to be right in line with like institutions. So I think we'll find it to be comfortable.
Wow. All right, Dr. Pollard. So, this was a great overview of our programs. Where are we going from here?
Well, we're going to continue to grow our graduate programs. One of the things I've asked Dr. Anderson and the team to look at is when we launch our first doctoral program, because we believe that being a part of a university is actually being able to take people all the way through to that final terminal degree. And so that's going to be exciting. I don't know which one that will be. Dr. Anderson and the team will kind of figure out where we think we have the best niche. I loved his response when people talked about duplication or competition. It's only competition if you're aiming at the same people. We've got a context that requires particular kinds of contextual education. And so, I guess it's a competition if Sprite and 7-Up are in competition, right? You have people who love Sprite and people who love 7-Up, right?
Right.
Do they still produce 7-Up? I don't even know if that state, I don't know. So, okay. So Coke and Pepsi, that's a good one. We know those. Yeah, people love Coke, people love Pepsi. So again, there's a market. Once we find our market niche on these programs, then we believe that Oakwood has something very unique to offer. And Kayla mentioned it, she referred to it. The foundations of faith that undergird what we do are just irreplaceable, and that you won't get at Hopkins. Everybody can disseminate information, but information that actually substantiates and buoys and increases your life and walk of faith and your ability to connect to people from that basic platform, those foundations, those biblical foundations of our curriculum. Those are very important niche markers, and they create a unique Oakwood graduate degree, and it pervades all of the graduate education. I taught the class on leadership. Ms. Johnson was in that class on perspectives, leadership and Christian perspectives. And we have actual engagement around what does scripture teach about this thing of leadership, and what are some good resources we can get from other research and other learning. But ultimately, the foundations for our faith and practice come to stand under what we teach and deliver. And that's what I love about our curriculum and the leadership of our academic area.
I like that too, Dr.
Long
Pollard.
answer to a short question, right? Long answer to a short question.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. So let's go back to our graduate enrollment specialist and let her tell our listeners again how they can enroll in the programs.
Yes. For more information about the program, you can go to our graduate.oakwood.edu website, or you can contact me, Kenesha Bennett, at 256-726-8091, or email me at kbennett, BENNETT, at oakwood.edu. And I am happy to help you move on to the next step of your career goals.
All right, we have one more comment, Ms. Pollard.
Yes, I want to say, and I didn't mention this before, but I want to say the tremendous support that the faculty and staff give. It's just tremendous. They say, no, you call us anytime and get us through. And I want to give special recognition to Kenesha, because Kenesha she's on duty for sure. I've called Kenesha and asked some crazy questions, and she was patient enough to respond in a positive and a blessed way. So the support that you get through the program, the undergrad as well as the graduate program that I have experienced has been tremendous. And I just praise the Lord for people who are dedicated to their work, yes, but also dedicated to seeing that their students get through and through in a good and positive and powerful way.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Pollard. Anything we missed, or anybody else want to make some final comments before we?
Maybe Kayla would like to offer. I see her lips pursed.
My brain.
Her brain is moving. I see it. Okay, Kayla.
No, she not only Ms. Bennett, because like she said, yes, I think I've called her or emailed her, and she's always responded, even like after midnight. But Dr. Johnson as well. A year ago, I actually had my second child, and I'm in the hospital. Wow. Calling Dr. Johnson, and just knowing that you could have that option to let her know, hey, I went into labor early, because she wasn't due until after my classes were supposed to end. So I'm trying to get, my final things done. And just for her to call me and pray with me, that meant a lot to me. Actually brought me to tears, and, just to pray with me that I get through everything, and to let me know everything was going to be okay, and they would help me finish out my classes. So that was a blessing.
What a great team, Dr. Pollard. Wrap it up for us, Dr. Pollard.
Well, I think the testimonies have said it all. If you want to study in a place where the people actually care about your development, about your success, about your forward mobility, then Oakwood is that place. And I think that's unique. I've done a little bit of education. I've been in places where I was a number. I was an ID number, basically. But if you want to be in a place where you're a person and where your personal needs are responded to, then Oakwood is that place. And you get a quality education that can situate you for the rest of your life. Not just for the years you study, but all the after years that follow. That's why we do what we do at Oakwood. And I want to thank my guest this morning, our guest this morning, who are here with us. Thank you so very much for everything that you do, and for all the good words that you share. And where we need to improve, we're open to that too. And some of you have shared that information, because nothing's perfect. But I thank you for what you've done. And I'm so grateful to my colleagues for the ministries, because that's what it is, the ministries that they do every day in the educational arena.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pollard, and thank you for our special guest for being with us today for this special edition of Inside Oakwood. And Dr. Pollard, I'll see you again next week. And thank you guys. Y'all have a great day.
Thank
you.
everybody.
Pleasure.
God bless you.
Bye.